Then we'll begin. Great. So this is the 9th of the talks, yeah, given by Tara, Lalitaratna, Ketu and myself. And today is abstaining from ill will or hatred. And just to remind you, the content is the 10 precepts, 10 training principles. We're looking at our ethical behaviour. It's part of the threefold path, yes, ethics, meditation and wisdom. Sila, Samadhi and Prajna in Sanskrit. Yes, and Tara Paliter has pointed out a number of times that the first 3 precepts are to do with action, yeah, how we act, physical action. The next 4 are to do with speech, yeah, speech which is kind, helpful, truthful, it doesn't divide people, okay? And the last 3, well, last week we had Ketu talking about not having the, greed, the mental equivalent of greed, yes? This week I'll be talking about ill will, yes, the mental equivalent of ill will, and next week Tara Paliter will be talking about giving up false views, right? How not to be ignorant, right? So these 3 emotions, we've come across them in the pictorial form of the cock, the pig and the snake, yes? I don't need to repeat that. But the tendencies are to push things away from ourselves or to pull things towards ourselves. And both of these tendencies are ignorant. So you have the 3 forces. That's one way of looking at them. Another way is to see ignorance as a force in itself. I've come across both in Buddhism. So the ill will, you know, anybody who threatens my image of who I am, I push them away. Or who threatens me, I push them away. Sangharakshita calls this your ego identity, the picture of who you are. You want to protect it. Yeah, once you get a self, you know, you have an identity and you want to protect it. Yeah, so there's this tendency to push things away that threaten it. If somebody says, I think you're stupid, Lalitaratna, I don't like you. You know, I don't want you to be around. Yeah, if you say, oh, you're so clever, Lalitaratna, I think you're fantastic. Please stay around. You know, you're supporting my self-view. But the third one I find is really interesting. If nobody is supporting me in any way, well, I'll just pretend that everything's great. You know, I put my fingers in my ears, go, no, 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 and pretend that I'm fantastic. So this is like the third, this is an active form of ignorance. Great. All right. Now, our mental states, they have consequences. Yeah? We could sit there quietly just thinking wicked thoughts. But if we do that a lot, they will have bad effects on the other 2 levels of our activity. Yeah? You keep thinking something unpleasant about somebody, and one day it comes out of your mouth in front of them. Oops, yeah? That was your fault for repeating it in your head, yeah? You may fantasize about killing somebody, then maybe one day you do. So there we go. A little bit dangerous. Last week, Ketu, in his talk, he quoted from the first page, the first lines of the first page of perhaps the oldest book in Buddhism, the Dhammapada. And I'd like to quote it again, if you don't mind. He says, these are the first words of the Dhammapada: experiences are preceded by mind, led by mind, and produced by mind. So our mind's doing it all, yeah? If one speaks or acts with an impure mind, suffering follows even as the cartwheel follows the hoof of the ox. The metaphor is fantastic. If you are, you know, cultivating ill will, the consequences follow you like the cartwheel. Now just please go back 2,500 years and imagine an Indian cartwheel. It probably weighs about half a ton. you know, crudely made of wood. You've got to drag this thing through the street. So a bullock cart, you can imagine the sheer weight and the slowness of a bullock cart. This is what follows you if you are unkind. Yes? The second line, experiences are preceded by mind, led by mind, and produced by mind. If one speaks or acts with a pure mind, happiness follows like a shadow that never departs. Well, can you think of anything lighter than a shadow? It's poetry. The first lines of the Dhammapada are just poetry. So you can imagine being followed by your shadow. The pleasant consequences dance along behind you. Yeah, they surround you. Good. So, ill will. I mean, it never dawned on me there was anything really wrong with it. You know, I was a good little Roman Catholic. You know, yeah. We had righteous indignation. Even God did it. My heaven's sake, God killed a lot of people, you know. Yeah, he drowned all the soldiers following the Israelites. He had a great Sodom and Gomorrah. He burnt it like a nuclear holocaust, yeah. So, yeah, loads of fun in the Old Testament. I got into Sufism before Buddhism, and there was this line, and it shocked the hell out of me. It said, when you indulge in hatred, it is like setting fire to your own house. Eventually the fire goes out, but the house is ruined. And I don't know why, but these words hit me like a thunderbolt, you know? I'd never considered this before. And it's so true. Negative emotions, if we really were to look at them, are not actually enjoyable. We burn somewhat when we're angry. Yeah, we're not comfortable. The muscles are stressed. The blood pressure goes up. It's not easy. The other day I was waiting on a friend. She had to do a telephone call. We were on the River Spray. Yeah, lovely sunny day, and I'm leaning on this railing, looking at the River Spray, just waiting for this telephone call to finish. And I started remembering my current friends in Berlin. Just going through, it just came up spontaneously. And with each one, this feeling of love and joy was just rising up in me. And it was so nice. And I was never taught this, that love is pleasant, that positive emotions are actually enjoyable. I never saw this, that love is a hedonistic delight, especially the generous love, yeah? Not greedy love, you know, I'm going to own you and possess you, you will be my prisoner from now on forever, I will marry you, you know? No, you know, just a generous love is a hedonistic delight, yeah? And while I was leaning on this wall, I started singing quietly to myself, and it was Eric Clapton. And his words were, love is lovely. You know, love is lovely, let it grow. You know, let it blossom, let it grow. In the sun, the rain and snow, love is lovely, let it grow. And I thought, God, I never thought that love is lovely. And then I came home and I spoke to Moksha Siddha about it. He said, well, not in Christianity. Love, it's the great passion, the great Leidenschaft. You know, we suffer. You know, you see the Virgin Mary with her heart exposed and thorns stuck in it, and Christ with his heart on fire, and he loved her so much he died on the cross. You know, that is painful. Love is painful there, but ordinary, good, innocent love is lovely, as Eric Clapton, that famous old fascist, said. You know, so there we go. Great. Even he said it, yeah? and then later on, you know, the words of William Blake. William Blake, if you practice Buddhism, William Blake will come up again and again, an English poet from a couple of 100 years ago. And if I may bear with you, if you can bear with me, sorry, the words are a little old-fashioned, and he's got a poem called The Clod and the Pebble. The clod is a piece of mud which you can mould, like, you know, like clay, you know, Knete, yeah, in German. And the pebble, a little stone. And he writes, it's quite short, love seeketh not itself to please, nor for itself hath any care. So true love is not worried about yourself. That's what he's saying there. It's not trying to look just after you. But for another gives its ease. So for another person, it puts itself out. You know, it makes little sacrifices for the person it loves and builds a heaven in hell's despair. So where life is crap, with a really generous love, you can turn a very difficult situation into heaven. Yeah? So sung a little clod of clay, trodden with the cattle's feet, but a pebble of the brook, the stream, warbled out these meters meet, meters, these pieces of poetry. Love seeketh only self to please, to bind another to its delight. So the other sort of love, the hard one, the little pebble, the rigid one, just wants to grab somebody, bring them into their life, make them a prisoner, joys in another's loss of ease, is pleased when they can't escape, and builds a hell in heaven's despite. So you actually turn heaven into hell through the wrong sort of love. Interesting. So that's our good old Bill Blake. Yeah, I love him. Yeah, he's always good. Yeah. Banti actually wrote an essay called William Blake is a Buddhist. Yeah, and he is. Yeah. So mental states, and they have consequences, you know, sort of the ill will we can have. And the word karma comes up again, and even the popular understanding of karma is pretty good, you know. We realise that actions have consequences, but karma actually belongs just to the ethical level. If we choose to do something good or choose to do something bad, that choice has ethical consequences, has consequences, let's just say that, yeah? And just for the fun of it last night, I was looking in this translation program and I started sticking karma into all these European languages. And in all these languages all over Europe, what's the French for karma? Karma. German for karma? Karma. It's karma everywhere, except for Poland, where it means animal food. Yeah? So, there we go. Strange one, eh? Yeah. Footer, yeah. So, good. But just to say it, just for our own knowledge, because we're all regulars here, there's in fact two words we use. We use karma and we use the word vipaka. So there's karma and karma vipaka. And karma literally means action. Actions to do with ethics, yeah? Choices, ethical choices. And vipaka means fruits. So karma vipaka is the fruits of actions, yeah? I just say, I think 3 of the Tibetan schools of Buddhism, there's 4 schools, 3 of them, they believe that all consequences that come to you are karma. Now, we in Lalitaratna don't go along with this. We follow the sort of Theravadin, that there's all different levels of cause and effect, you know? Like the level of physics and chemistry, biology, psychology, karma, and then the Dharma. Yeah, so we've got about 5 different levels of cause and effect. Tibetans have 1. It's all ethical action. So if a brick falls on your head, karma. Yeah? We might say it's a windy day, bad luck. I mean, luck is not really a Buddhist concept, but there we go. But, so, the trouble with thinking that everything's karma, I mean, it's quite a good motivator, isn't it? That's quite interesting. It's quite, you know, anything bad happens, you go, oh, it's my fault. It's quite a good motivator, but we say it isn't true. And it does give certain problems. You know, if there's a train crash or a plane crash, everybody gets killed. Did they all have the same karma? You know, we got some real difficulties there. Yeah, so yes, I mentioned the 3 sort of levels, you know, body, speech and mind. And they obviously have different consequences. To think something a bit mean has, you know, the consequences are milder than saying something mean to somebody or actually hurting them physically, yeah? You can think about murdering somebody, but to actually do it is a different thing altogether, yeah? Now, with anger itself, this is what this one's about, anger, hatred. Sangharakshana teaches this, that it is the most unbodhisattva-like of all the emotions, anger or hatred. This is traditional. And he explains why. He said, yeah, a bodhisattva can really get it wrong at times, yeah? They're out there to help all beings. That's who a bodhisattva is. They want everybody to get enlightened. And the tradition says that if a bodhisattva makes an error, a mistake out of greed, it's not great, but it's not too bad. Yeah? Okay? They came in late at all the sweeties. Yeah, it's not very nice for others, yeah? But it's just greed. It's sort of understandable. But if a bodhisattva expresses hatred or anger, they're actually breaking their solidarity with other beings. So it's actually considered the most unbodhisattva-like of all emotions is anger. And you have to be careful, because one little burst of anger can do so much damage. People don't forget it. Yeah? Now, there's a whole range of different, a whole spectrum of negative emotions to do with ill will. I don't really want to go through them today. Yeah? It's not nice. It has an effect. We can work them out for ourselves. And this expression came to me, very good old English saying, when you sup with the devil, you take a long spoon. Can you work out the sense of it? You know, if you're going to be with evil people for dinner, have a very long spoon so you can sit back from the table, yeah? But it's basically saying, you know, if you dwell in sort of muckiness, it will affect you. So we won't go into all of these things, yeah? And they can be mean. What I found curious, as I said earlier, Christianity, there is a belief that anger can be justified. And you have Christ going into the temple, and he's so angry that there are people changing money in the temple and selling holy things and all the rest of it. Probably selling sacrifices, you know, doves and things like that. And he's so angry, he takes off the rope round his waist and knots it into a nice little weapon, you know, and he beats them up. Yeah, kicks over the table, beats them up. And I found it interesting that this story is referred to in all 4 Gospels, yeah? But in one of them it goes into great detail. Now, okay, well done, Jesus, yeah? I didn't think buildings were that important, actually, yeah? But it does mean that we've been given a precedent for violence down the next 2,000 years. It's a very dangerous example for a saviour or a guru to set, yeah? But I think it does have consequences. And recently I heard on American television, Buddhists saying that during the, this is a very dodgy area I'm going into now, but with the Black Lives Matters, they were saying anger is not just justified, it's really appropriate. We should be angry. That may be the Christian influence. I don't know. But for myself, it's a dangerous game once you start getting angry. When you get angry, reason tends to go out of the window. You tend to, okay, you get tremendous focus, but you lose the breadth. With anger, you are focused, but you're not seeing all the wider details, in my own experience. Yeah? One's judgment becomes poor. I mean, I did ask Sangharakshana once, he was talking about this puja he'd visited, a Chinese puja, and he said all these Chinese people, they had passion in their practice. And this is years ago, and me and my naivety, I stopped it, I said, Bhante, I said, aren't we supposed to get rid of passion? He said, no. He said, you need passion for the spiritual life. You have to have passion. But, he said, and this is why I find it's interesting, the anger thing, you have passion. Passion doesn't have you. Very simple. Very simple. So you do need the drive and all the rest of it, yeah? But I thought, can I give some examples, some everyday examples of where anger makes you stupid and do bad things, yeah? And I thought, sport, glorious sport, you know? And we have the 2006 World Cup. I mean, Italy really were in with a chance, yeah? No, France and Italy, yeah? They were both in there in the final. And this fella, he came up to Zidane. I love Zidane. His football is amazing, yeah? I've seen him knowing where the ball's coming from behind him. And as it comes down over his shoulder, he just kicks it with one foot into the right. He's a genius, Zidane, yeah? This Italian, Materazzi, he came up to him and he said something to him. We now think he said something about Zidane's sister, yeah? But says that Zidane head-butted him in the chest, yeah? And now there's a famous statue of it in bronze of Zidane head-butting Materazzi. You can find it, you know, on Google. Have a little look. It's very good, yeah? People say, you know, it's reminiscent of Samson destroying somebody with the jaw of a donkey, you know. It's classic art, they're saying. But Zidane was sent off. It was 1-1, and in the penalty shootout, Zidane was not there. Italy won. That was an expensive little headbutt, dear Zidane, yeah? Expensive. Probably cost you the World Cup, yeah? I had to laugh. The Australians are the best at insulting the team they're playing against. They even have a name for it. It's called sledging. And they try and make their opponents angry. Do you get what I'm saying? If you can make your opponents angry, they will play bad cricket. It's very simple. It's a science, yeah? But in cricket now, there's microphones everywhere. And you know you have 3 stumps at the end of at the end of the pitch. You know, you've got to bowl the ball against these little sticks. Now, in the middle stump, there's a camera and a microphone. So you can actually hear everything that's being said. And I thought this was fantastic because this went out live on TV. It was Australia playing Zimbabwe. And this Zimbabwean bowler, bit overweight, a marvellous sportsman, but a little bit chunky, yeah? And this Australian, Glenn McGrath, could not get the ball past him. He couldn't get him out, you know. And Branders was his name, Edo Branders, and he's defending the wicket, you know, and McGrath is getting angrier and angrier with him. So in the end, McGrath said to him, "Why are you so fat?" Yeah? And, what's his name? Edo immediately said, "Because every time I have sex with your wife, she gives me a biscuit." Yeah? And that went out over the whole world on the radio. Isn't it fantastic? So, but that's how you deal with it. You come back at them. But anyway, I only use this. This was my joke, you know. But it's just an example of how useful is anger. Well, in sport, we know if you can get your opposition angry, you will probably win. So it's not the greatest thing. All right. So anger, not a good emotion, but sometimes it's curious because sometimes you'll hear things like, "You look so beautiful when you're angry." Yeah? What's that? Yeah? Well, yeah, maybe somebody is a little bit blocked and not very expressive, and then one day they get a bit angry and suddenly, and energy is beautiful. You're curious, all right? Curious. Energy is quite attractive, yeah? Sangharakshita himself, he said, sometimes, you know, there you are, poor young person, sort of a bit blocked, meditating every day, trying to do your metta-bhavnas, your mindfulness of breathings, you know, life's not been that great. And then you start hitting emotions for the first time, and somebody says something to you, and you just snap at them, bang, out it comes. Everybody's shocked, yeah? And Sangharakshita says, that is actually quite wonderful. That they're contacting emotions for the first time and it's coming out okay in the form of anger, but something's happening. You know, there is life on Mars, it seems, you know. Fantastic. They're unblocking, yeah. Hopefully this doesn't go on for the rest of their life, yeah? By chance, I've not been the greatest fan, but I'm getting slightly converted. I heard a program on Marshall Rosenberg the other day. I was so impressed I listened to it a second time. And he's the one who created non-violent communication, yeah? What I found interesting about him was he did have a really rough childhood. It was rough, you know, poor, rough, he got beaten up. His mother really encouraged him to get in there and fight, yeah, because he used to get beaten up at school. And she'd pick him up at the hospital with broken arms and she'd say, "That's my boy," you know. She was proud of him, yeah. So he came from a bit of a rough background. His father was beautiful, apparently. Suddenly, you know, later on he found in life that he was shouting at his wife and his children, and he thought, is this right? He's a highly creative man, and so he created non-violent communication. And he's helped in, he died just a few years ago, I think, but he's helped in conflict resolution between serious countries, between African tribes, you know, a real idealist. My own father was born angry, yeah? He once did this therapy, this rebirthing, and in the end he was quite clear that he was born angry, yeah? And I tell you, now it's not, I thought this would be a funny story, it's not funny. I had heard about twins being filmed on ultrasound in the womb fighting with each other. Yeah, you can go onto YouTube and find a little movie of two twins in the womb. It looks like one of them is trying to kiss the other, and the other one is punching the other one in the head, and really punching it. Yeah, I don't think it's fake because it's a little bit old. You know, nowadays you have to see. You know, was it 1990? Then it's probably genuine. If it's 2020, it's probably fake. Yeah, but actually I didn't enjoy it. It upset me a bit to see these little kids whacking each other, yeah? So, and my father, he was born with a twin, and that twin always bullied him. So, my father was angry all the time, yeah? And blah, blah, blah. I don't need to go into all that. But at the end of his life, when he had Alzheimer's, we brought him home, so his last months were at home. And he had serious, not Alzheimer's, dementia, similar but different. And then one day, he just said, "My anger's gone." And it was. You know, nearly 70 years of anger stopped. And he'd lost nearly all of his memories. So this is it, the memories weren't there to sustain the anger. That's what I think, yeah? Because there's a truth. Emotions will produce angry words, and angry words will produce angry emotions, which is why we sort of train ourselves with the speech precepts, yeah? Trying to make ourselves a bit sweeter, yeah? But it was gone, and the room was peaceful. It was amazing. And then my daddy turned to me, he said, "My anger's gone. Where did it go?" And I said, "We all got it." And we both laughed like mad. It was very funny. But he produced an angry wife and 6 angry children. Yeah, and then he was released from it. Fantastic, you know. So I've had to work with this a lot. You know, I've been to my teacher about it, who didn't give me very good advice. You know, when I go on solitary retreat, the anger can burst up in me. But I came up with a very good rule for myself. I used to say, once but not twice. That, you know, you could just be in the kitchen working and suddenly you're raging about something. And I used to say, once is forgivable. You didn't see it coming. It's not karmic. You didn't choose for that to come. It got here. You're not aware enough to see the early stages of the process. That arrived. I don't blame you, Lalitaratna, but not twice. If in the next few minutes I do it again, I say, "No, that's indulgence. That's karmic, mate. You know, you're producing the Lalitaratna of the future with that one." So that was my rule there. Once but not twice, you know. And of course, hopefully with time, as one develops more and more awareness, yeah, one sees the process earlier and earlier and can take steps. Yeah. Now, I've told this story before, just the nature of anger. I've told this story before, probably in one of these talks, but if you forgive me, I'll just say it again. I was at Vajraloka once. It was a men's retreat, 10 days, nearly all of it in silence, and I'm sitting opposite this guy. I don't know him, but he's there in that seat every day, and I don't like him. Yeah, he's done nothing wrong. I don't even know him, but I'm ratty. I just don't really like him. So I said, come on, mate, Metabhavna, Buddhist, you know, yeah, stop disliking him. So I started putting him in the Metabhavna and wishing him well. Now, this is, I think you can only do this on retreat. Bear in mind, 10 days, silence, men's retreat, Vajraloka, this is intense. You're working with subtle stuff. And in meditation, suddenly I could see the anger and I could pull it off him. I literally could pull it off him. And suddenly, like almost in my hands, there's these burning flames. It's just in my imagination, but I'm looking at burning flames. I can't believe it. And then suddenly, it's gone. What a relief. It's gone. And then I go, maybe, and my whole posture drops and I go, maybe I just kill myself. You know, I just do away with myself. And I'm sitting there suddenly depressed and I suddenly realise what's happened. It's like the film The Exorcist. It's exactly like The Exorcist. I've pulled the demon off this fella and he's jumped onto me. But instead of anger, I've gone into sort of depression. So then I literally pull it off myself. You know, it is The Exorcist, yeah? And it's just burning. I've got it out there in front of me burning. And I must have kept it out there for 15 minutes. And it got smaller and smaller and smaller and smaller, and then it was gone. And I promise you, I sincerely believe it didn't go away. It stopped existing. It wasn't like I pushed it under the carpet or shoved it out the room. It was extinguished, that bit for good. And I think this is really quite interesting about the nature of anger. So that I found, you know, educational. So, let's have a little look at the Buddha. How are we doing for time? We're good, yeah? We do have Buddhist psychology, but in the life of the Buddha, they don't really use psychology there. They use myths to explain phenomenon. We would talk about, you know, psychological events, states. In the Pali Canon, it's myth. So, it's the night of the Buddha's enlightenment. All right? He's worked hard. He's made his vow. You know, blood may dry up. Yes, I will not move from this spot, you know, until he's gained insight. And he sits there, and Mara decides to visit. Mara, who is Mara? Mara is like the Buddhist devil, yeah? But he's much more mischievous than the Christian devil. He's got a bit of a sense of humour. He's a naughty boy. Mara just doesn't want us to change. That's Mara's big thing in life. He doesn't want us to change. Now you think, have I ever met Mara? I promise you, anybody who has given up smoking has met Mara. Yeah? Mara is smart. Mara is you. You think, how does he know all the arguments? Because he's got total access to your data. Yeah, he's in your brain. You know, when you're giving up smoking, Mara, after a few weeks, I think week 5 is the dangerous week for me. Mara goes, that was so well done. I'm proud of you. You really nailed that one. You did it. Now, go out, buy some cigarettes and smoke one and just show the world how powerful you are. And you do it. It's crazy. You go, and as you smoke that cigarette, Mara goes, you ruined everything. You've ruined everything. You're a smoker again. You might as well finish the packet, yeah? And it's amazing, the intelligence, the smartness of this character. So this is Mara, yeah? Good. And he doesn't want the Buddha to make progress. So the Buddha is there, and he's meditating. It's the light of the Buddha's enlightenment. And Mara does the first attack. He sends in all the demons, all these monsters, and they come flying in, and they're hurling rocks and spears, firing arrows, anything they can. They're chucking everything at the Buddha. And the Buddha, his aura just protects him. Yeah, just this aura all around him. Yeah? It's interesting. I'm quite convinced now that auras are real, because when I was in Ireland those 3 years, I lived on my own there, and I used to go into this deserted church and meditate there, totally silent. And I found quite soon I could create an aura of metta. And I was, you should have been scared in this deserted church with no lights, 6 miles out into the country. And I remember my legs aching, so I'd swap position. And as I leant out of the aura, and I'd feel my head go outside of the aura for a bit, and almost the fear was outside. Then back in the aura, I'm safe. I remember there was this cemetery, this Friedhof I used to like going to, which didn't have a church up the road. And I remember being there on a moonless night. So totally black, all the dead bodies around you, under the ground. And I remember just this sort of silver aura. Okay, it's my imagination. But with my sort of metta and the fear trying to get in, it turned into like dancing girls, all in silver. It was amazing stuff. So, yeah, so the Buddha has an aura. And as all the weapons hit the aura, they turn into flowers and just fall about the Buddha's feet. He's surrounded by blossoms and flowers. Now, the symbolism is fantastic, that hatred, it's energy. It is energy. And we don't have to take it as an attack. Obviously, the Buddha has amazing courage. You see it in the story of when he goes to meet the mass murderer Angulimala. Why I liked it, we did a talk on it the other month. Why I liked it was because the whole area was in lockdown. 2,500 years ago, it's all in lockdown, just like here, yeah? The people are hiding from this mass murderer. Armies are avoiding him. And the Buddha goes, where is he? Goes out to meet him. And Angulimala fires some arrows at him. They all miss. Angulimala cannot believe. He's never missed before. And the Buddha goes up to him and makes a joke. Yeah? And, Angulimala is trying to catch him, and he can't catch him. And he just says to the Buddha, he says, why don't you stop? It's almost like the cricketer. Yeah, why are you so fat? Why don't you stop? And he goes, I have stopped, Angulimala. It's you who hasn't stopped. Yeah? Meaning that the negative emotions are still running in Angulimala. Yeah? And Angulimala is so impressed that he instantly wants the Buddha as his teacher. Yeah? So it's just this incredible courage. And what's interesting, obviously Angulimala's, he's a hateful man. He's killed 107 people so far to make up his necklace of fingers, yeah? That's what his name means, finger necklace, Angulimala. Mala is a necklace, yeah? And the Buddha is just not frightened, and he responds with love. There's another instance where this wild bull elephant comes charging towards the Buddha, and he just stands there and just covers him in metta. And the raging elephant becomes tame. Yeah? I'm not going to claim to do the same thing, but I have discovered you can love bomb dogs. Yeah? You can just love bomb them. So I remember 2 Rottweilers protecting this building site in Essen. And as you walk past the chain link fence, they were going mad. These 2 huge Rottweilers. And I just said, oh, you lovely boys, you lovely, lovely boys. Oh, you're so sweet. In the end, I had my finger through the wire and they're licking it. Yeah? That's absolutely true, I did have a chain link fence to protect me, It wasn't a wall of metta, but it is interesting, yeah, just your confidence, I suppose, yeah. So good. Just to say a little bit more, just moving away from ill will. So that's ill will, and it can be changed into just energy, and you can respond to that if you're brave, if you're courage, you don't have fear. Yeah. By the way, Mara, it failed. The attack failed, so he sends in his daughters. My God, Indian girls, hardly wearing anything, wiggling their hips, dancing, beautiful stuff, to the young. He's only in his late 20s, isn't he? No, he's 35, yeah? Wow, hot stuff. So it's greed. He's gone for ill will. Mara's now going to go for greed, yeah? Just get him off the path, this could be yours, this could be yours, 3 of them, lovely, And the Buddha just imagines them in their old age, one tooth, dribbling, boobs down here, yeah, terrible hair, yeah. And the thing is, what I've noticed thinking about this story is so often this fantastic capacity for stupidity that we have, yeah? It's like you meet a beautiful, for me, a girl, for someone, a boy, and your mind takes a photo, click, and that's it. The photo remains real for the rest of your days. My poor dad, he was so in love with my mum. All the birthday cards he gave her, right up into her 60s, were of young women. Yeah, but our mind fixes a picture, and it doesn't look at reality. If a bloke buys a car, we don't imagine that in 15 years we'll be underneath doing the rust and changing the sills, we don't see any of that. We just see, it's shiny red, it's very fast, it can go 0 to 100 in blah, 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 boring, blah, blah. Yeah? And we just have this simple picture, there we go. It's everywhere. Yeah, but the Buddha, instead of seeing just the moment, having this photo of what life is in this split second, sees the whole life, and the spell is broken. It's gone. So that was greed. So Mara, he says, I'll do the job myself, and he goes along as a lawyer, and he decides to sow doubt in the Buddha. Good old doubt, and the lovely Buddhist word, vicikitsa. Nasty, nasty doubt, vicikitsa. I told you, one German, she said, that could be bitchikitsa, couldn't it? Yes. So vicikitsa, it's an unfair questioning, it's a disbelief in everything that's good. And Mara just says, what right do you have to be here? Who the hell do you think you are? The great question, who the hell do you think you are? Mr. Clever Clogs, And at that moment, the earth goddess, this strange, mysterious figure just comes up out of the earth, this green goddess. And because, he taps the ground, Shakyamuni taps the ground, and out comes the green goddess, and she says, I am his witness. And she just says what he's done over all the lifetimes. Basically, she brings them back to reality. She brings back the true context, yeah? And the Buddha gains enlightenment. So, there we are. So I went a bit out of my area there. That was not just that. And that was delusion. So we've had greed, hatred, delusion, looked at in a mythical way in the Pali Canon. All right? So, in the Buddha's life itself, the Buddha did meet anger. And there's one nice story where somebody comes up and really has a go at the Buddha, criticizes him. And as I said, the Buddha the Buddha's calm. He's reasonable. The devil, he's always calm. He listens and then he responds. And this man who's just expressed all his anger to the Buddha says to him, if somebody gives you a present and you don't accept it, to whom does the present belong? And the man says, well, it must be the person giving it. And the Buddha says, yes. So what you've just offered me is yours. Yeah? He just doesn't accept it. It's lovely. It's a teaching. It's great. And so, okay, just coming near the end now. We shouldn't, anger, be careful. Yeah. Sometimes, I mean, I've heard, I know a good friend of mine, he really shouted at his young daughter when she ran into the traffic. He was furious, angry, but that was love. Can you see that? That's so different. He wanted his daughter to survive, yeah? And speaking to her years later, I think she might have got a bit of a clip, the only time in her life, yeah? And she, as a young woman, as a 20-year-old said, it was right. I'm still grateful to my father for that. It's remarkable, yeah? So there's that too. Yeah, we should be, think about being, pacifism. We shouldn't fight. But Sangharakshita himself said, if you want to be a pacifist, you have to plan a long time in advance. You can't just let everything go crazy and then say, oh, I'm a pacifist today. Really you need to think early. It's people when the Treaty of Versailles was signed, at the end of World War I, many critics said this is World War II. We've just produced World War II with this treaty. So stupid. It has to end in another war. Yeah. So that all of that could have been avoided with a bit more generosity. Yeah. So you want to be a pacifist, plan it in advance, yeah? What else to say? I used to teach a meditation with prisoners, and one of my groups, they were all murderers, or killers at least, One wasn't found guilty of murder, but he did kill someone. One of them, he said to me, look, Lalitaratna, I can't become nice in this place. They'll walk all over me. The prisoners here will walk all over me. Now, in our lives, I think it's enough. The Metta Bhavana will protect us. We will have a self-respect, a liking for ourselves. We'll stand up. We'll speak up, maybe for the first time in our lives. There'll be more dignity. Our posture will look different, Who is the order member? Little guy. Dharmavira from Glasgow. When he got his black belt in Glasgow, he never had any more trouble in the streets again. His body language told people, stay away. I've got self-respect. Yeah? Because Sauchiehall Street's a bit of a dangerous place, but they're in Scotland, in Glasgow. But he was fine. So I think the metta, would change our posture. Sometimes bullies, they just can't resist a victim. Somebody's walking around with the word victim over their head, yeah? And the bully cannot resist. It's like offering them a 3-course meal, with sweeties at the end. They have to get in there, yeah? Our attitude to ourselves has to change. We have to like ourselves. Occupy our own space was how I once put it, It takes very little energy to occupy your own body, to occupy your own space, in a gentle, natural way with the metta. Yeah, it works. But anyway, my prisoners, Darren, he said to me, I can't be nice here, They'll kill me. So I told him this story I'd heard. It's not Buddhism. This is not Buddhism. Yeah, I don't know where it comes from. It's probably a Hindu story. Of a holy man walking through a village in India. And again, it's lockdown. Everybody's terrified. He says, what's wrong? They said, there's this great big snake up in the hills. He comes down, he kills us. We're terrified. So the holy man says, that's not good. That's not good karma for the snake. Let me go and find the snake. So he goes off to the snake and he explains whatever, laws of karma, things like that. He says, you mustn't kill them. All right. So the snake stops it. Great. Some years later, the holy man's walking back through the village. It's fantastic. Everybody's happy. It's great. And he says, where's the snake? They go, don't know. Probably up in the hills, So he goes up the hills to find the snake. And there's the poor snake, hiding. He's got wounds, he's got cuts, scars. He says, what's happened? He said, well, the children, they chase me with sticks and they throw stones at me now that I'm not killing anybody. And he says to the snake, he says, I told you not to kill. You can still hiss. Yeah? And I told Darren this. He was so happy. happy. He was going to go around hissing, yeah, because though he was a little man, he was quite scary. You know, I was his Buddhist minister. I felt protected. It was great walking around this prison with Darren, you know. So there we go. A little bit unusual there. All right. Sangharakshana gives 3 traditional cures for anger. I mean, yeah, we can think through the consequences of anger, get to a quiet space, maybe on a solitary, maybe say, is anger helpful? Really look at it, look at the consequences, then make a choice. I'm beginning to think that almost all of Buddhism is about choices, you know, choosing to give up hatred, choosing to evolve, you know, not being superficial and going, oh yeah, I'm a Buddhist, I do the... Go right down there and make some choices, yeah? Yeah, it's scary, it changes your personality. So that aside, the traditional ones are the metta bhavana. That is very clear, yeah? If there'd been time, I would have gone into the metta bhavana again. I'm not going to, all right? There's only 5 minutes left. Then there's the Brahma Viharas, yes? And usually one goes on retreat to do these. And one does the metta bhavana on the retreat. Then one does the karuna bhavana. Bhavana means to create. So karuna is compassion. So one creates compassion. And what one does is much like the metta bhavana. But you think of somebody, you do yourself, may I be well, may I be happy, or you can go straight to the 5th stage, may all the world be well. And then you think of somebody who's not well, who's suffering, and you wish them well. You get this flavour of helping a suffering person, just wishing them well, and now you do the ordinary metta bhavana. The friend, imagining how they would be, with the same attitude of, I'd like to help, you know, the neutral person, the enemy, then all the people together, and then the whole world. So it's the metta bhavana, but with this element of being aware of suffering, yeah? Then you do it, the sympathetic joy ones, the mudita bhavana. Mudita, joy, yeah? So you think of somebody who's really happy, yeah? And you really get, you know, you do yourself, then the happy person, and then the other 3, yeah? Friend, neutral person, enemy, you know, but picture them being well, then the whole world, fantastic. Then the upeksha bhavana. This one's a bit weird. It's very interesting. Upeksha, equanimity, yeah, glyphytic, whatever it is, glyphytic, yeah, equanimity. So you pick somebody and you actually consider the joy in their life, the suffering in their life, and then you imagine this is the result of conditionality. This person is process. Perhaps if they had different parents, they would be a slightly different person. I mean, it's amazing how the school you went to does sort of model your personality quite a lot. Years later, you can... In Croydon, I could tell the St Anne's girls, the Coloma girls, I could tell the John Fisher boys, the St Joseph's boys. You can see it in the streets, you know. Your school, you know, it conditions you. So you consider how people are conditioned in the upeksha bhavana. And you add that element to the friend, the neutral person, the enemy, okay? Then the 7-fold puja, that's a great way of doing it. And that's enough, really. So those are the traditional ways of working on ill will. Metta bhavana, Brahma viharas, 7-fold puja. The end. Any questions? You can mute yourself. Who is Mara? Yes? Is that all right, Rob? Thank you very much. I thought this was going to be a crap talk, but it's gone better than I thought. Strong coffee. Good. So, any questions? Any thoughts? Doesn't have to be. Doesn't have to be. Yeah, it's going to be a lifelong one for me. Ill will, yeah. People think, oh, friendly little Lalitaratna. I'm a savage on the quiet, you know. Yeah.
The last time I did a retreat over a weekend, a lot of hatred came up. It was really hard.
Yeah.
It was really, really intense. Yeah.
Yeah.
And then on the Saturday, it was like 2 or 3 days. And then on the Sunday, like you were saying, Lalitaratna, I really had to make a choice.
Yeah.
Let it all go.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Like, you got that real. Like, let it go, you know? It was really interesting.
It is.
So,
Yeah. I'm amazed by how Christians can let go of hatred. You know, you hear of people taken hostage and this, that and the other, and their religion is so good on forgiveness. They do let go of it, and it amazes me. And later on they'll say, well, I could be bitter. I listened to a whole interview last week on the BBC of a young doctor. She's just qualified. I forget her name. Something Spence, somebody. Beautiful, young, positive woman. She is golden. Yeah. She was in a shopping centre in England, and suddenly bright lights, crack. She didn't know what happened, and suddenly there's medics, there's police. Somebody on the top floor of the shopping centre had tried to commit suicide, and hit her head first. Yeah, from about 30 metres, snapped her back, yeah, and here she was, just qualified as a doctor, totally positive, and she said, yeah, my boyfriend's angry, my parents were angry. She says, I haven't got angry, just doesn't happen, you know. We could have been the other way round. It could have been me dropping on him, you know, it wasn't his fault, yeah. He survived, he got 4 years in prison for grievous bodily harm, by the way, yeah. And then she goes, I probably saved his life. You know, she's so positive. And they said, you know, well, she's in a wheelchair for the rest of her life. And she said, yeah, but listen to this. This is Dharma. She said, imagine I could be given back, you know, walking, you know. She said, I don't think walking leads to happiness. I thought, ooh, this is Dharma. You know, because so many people, we can all walk. That's not an ingredient of happiness, yeah? But all she wanted was to be able to practice medicine, and she's just qualified, just done. So she's about 26, 27 years old, and it's just lovely, radiant, positive. And she says, I can still practice. And of course, hospitals are a great place to go around in a wheelchair. You know, the floors are so flat and lifts and everything, yeah? So she can be a doctor. But there we are. But that choice, Simon, sorry, that choice. Yeah, but she didn't have the choice, you know. She just, no. Anyway, but there you go. Good luck, mate. We're in the same boat, yeah? I've got that critical mind. It's a bastard. It means I come up with new ideas, but I see the faults in everything, yeah? And it needs to be balanced with compassion or something, yeah? I don't know. Or just go through the crap, yeah? Yeah. Go on, Amy.
Yeah, I've just jotted down, I agree with the Dhammapada, those first lines that you quoted, the first verse. However, I don't know about anyone else, but there's a lot of crap in my mind, and quite a lot of it I don't take that seriously. Like images will pop up, a thought will pop up. So we need I get the feeling that I needn't take every thought, every image that seriously.
Perfect.
Especially being conditioned and unenlightened.
Yeah. Can I give you something slightly more extreme? I remember an order member asking Bhante, he said there's this habitual negative behaviour I'm engaged in. This is much stronger than what you're saying, Amy, and I can't stop it. I can't stop it. And Sangharaj said, okay, well the first thing to do is to stop feeling bad about it, because then you've got two bad things. You've got the bad behaviour and feeling bad about it, yeah? So he said, stop feeling bad about it. He said, just start doing good things, yeah? Your metabhavnas, your sevenfold pujas, your friendships, your dana, yeah? And he says, it's like a balance, you know, and at the moment it's like this. And he said, and as you do all the positive things, the balance just changes position. And one day it just outweighs the other and it's gone. Isn't that lovely? So I love that, Amy. Don't worry about all the little bits, yeah? It's the main drive of your life, I think, that's important, yeah?
Mm.
I think that's a kind of rare piece of advice. I don't know, I think I must have picked it up from him via somebody else. But it's the only way that I've been able to practice over the years. Because began trying to be like a kind of guard, you know, like jumping on myself every 2 seconds.
Yeah.
That was just like energetic strangulation.
Yeah.
And in the end, I just thought, oh, well, forget it. But I can do good things.
Yeah.
And then gradually, it's just, I think it's helped to outweigh it, like you said.
Yeah. And I asked Banti once, I had a meeting with him. I said, you did that talk, Great Buddhists of the 20th Century. And he went through the lives of 5 great Buddhists, Kanza, David Nail, Govinda, but, who was it? It doesn't matter. There's 2 more. And I said, they're all flawed. They're all damaged characters, And he said, they all are. All the great Buddhists are flawed characters. And you could include Sangharakshita in that, yeah? And I found this an enormous relief that we don't have to be perfect. And I sent it to my men's group, this poem. It's a bit long, but it's like good enough is good enough. Yeah, and Sangharakshita had received, some order member years ago, maybe 50 years ago, had given him a collection, his record collection, probably, Status Quo, Rolling Stones and all that. And it, as a present to express his love for Banti. And Banti wrote this poem, basically say, on receiving, the collection of records from an order member, yeah? And he didn't really like it, of course, but he starts going through all the aspects of life. Your wife might not be the most beautiful, but she's good enough, to do this, that, and the other. Your guru may not be very good, but he's enough to show you the way. Your meditation's not very good, but it's enough to support flashes of insight. And the whole poem is about good enough is good enough. The being perfect is not what we're about. If you needed to cross a river and there was a rickety old bridge and it got you across the river, fantastic, it worked. Yeah, you don't need a perfect bridge. Yeah, it's a mature position. It's the child who wants perfection. Yeah, and it's the adult who says, no, it's good enough. It'll work. It'll work. Yeah.
Great.
Yeah.
Probably.
It is time, more than time, yes.
Thank you very much, Lalita.
My pleasure. Thank you very much. Yeah. Great to see you all. Lovely.
Yeah, thanks a lot. Great.
All right. So you'll say something about the Dana Bowl, yes, and then.
Oh yeah. Why don't you say something about it?
Just give us all your money,
Okay. That's it.
I remember, can I tell you a little miracle once? Padma was going off to India with no bloody money, and we used to get £50 a month pocket money, and I gave him it. All right, people went, wow, well done, Lalitaratna. It was marvellous. I was impressed, And then this letter came through the post from the government with £50 for me. A few weeks later, I didn't know I had these premium bonds. I didn't, they were bought for me when I was a child. And the week I gave away £50, I won £50. Weird.
So if you put £50 into the PayPal Dana Bowl now, then you will receive £50 from the universe.
The universe will send you £50, or the merit. Or the merit, yeah? Yeah, lots of love, my dear people. Fantastic to see you, all your lovely faces. Take care. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much.
You're very welcome. Great.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Lovely. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Cheers.